Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With FishingBooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. FishingBooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to FishingBooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.
Scree Gear is more than apparel. It's a tribute to the relentless, the tireless, the true guardians of the wilderness. It's for those who seek not just a game, but a legacy. Not just a sport, but a way of life. In our gear, you're more than a hunter. You're a story, a tradition, a legend in the making. Scree is your journey, your triumph, your success. Join the working man revolution. Success awaits.
All right, welcome back to the Survival and Basic Badass Podcast, Kevin and Chuck. Today, well, we're going to talk about urban off-grid survival. I say off-grid because I guess you're not really connected to a grid if you're not connected to a house, apartment, something like that.
Do you ever...
Go ahead.
Yeah, do you ever get tired of paying your electric bill? Do you ever get tired of your mortgage?
Some days it's just
Some of
you've
that
had
stuff
enough.
is just awful, man. Living like a civilized person is just terrible.
And that's the problem. Yeah, I mean, I guess, it always comes down to how do you become homeless, right? People are like, well, I don't understand. Well, there's a lot of factors that come into that. Obviously, for a lot of people, it's money, right? No money becomes an issue. And in the current world right now, definitely people's budget is something that you really had to plan for. Right now, people's budgets are getting away from them. Things are more expensive than they were before. And to be honest, people's paychecks are not changing to reflect what their bills are doing. And that's a big thing. That's reality.
Yeah.
So
credit card debt is skyrocketing.
Exactly. Credit card debt. And then people don't realize, or I hate to say it, when your government and everybody's like, hey, don't worry, it's going to turn around. Good times are right around the corner. I guess Obama was straightforward with his, this is the new normal. It sucks, and it's going to keep sucking. But for, we're never going back to prosperity. But some people, you hear politicians, and I mean, Biden's out there running around saying everything's great. So,
yeah, everything's fine right now, according to him.
At least that's my understanding. So that can happen. Also, unexpected tragedies. A lot of people are one paycheck away from, losing everything, right? When they, and that's
right.
It's hard, right? So maybe you're young and you decide I need to move out. Even your parents, sometimes they'll draw a deadline. It used to be, oh, you're 18, you're out of high school, you're gone. That's it.
Right.
And now what is it? Oh, you're 35. You finished 3 college degrees. Now you need to move out. That's it. That's the line.
Yeah.
Wherever the line is, eventually that time comes where you're kind of out on your own. And people don't necessarily have the savings. Sometimes parents don't give the kids the opportunity to save up some money before they move out. Things like that. Right. It's not the same home life and situation for everybody. And some parents don't have the financial ability. I mean, definitely depending on where you live and the opportunities in your area affect what you can do. Like sometimes the whole family is pitching in to make ends meet, to make the bills, work.
Right.
Or maybe one of the breadwinners, passes away or leaves, mom's the big earner and mom just up and leaves and doesn't come home. Whatever. She finds a new man. She sees Kevin out there and is like, yeah, that's what I'm after. And off. So.
Yeah. All the men out there always are accusing me of being a homewrecker.
Yeah, see? And then another thing, so alcohol, drugs, definitely an issue.
Right.
Mental issues, prison.
Mm-hmm.
Prison could definitely uproot your lifestyle, that kind of thing. Believe it or not, they say that 11% of homeless are because of domestic violence. Maybe they're leaving, a situation. So it's not always a choice. Sometimes it is a choice. Like Kevin said kind of in the beginning, it's I just give up. I'm done. I'm done dealing with it. I'm done with, life. It's almost where it's like suicide, or I'm just going to stop dealing with stress. You just kind of make a choice where there's no more. So anyway, ends up, there's about 500,000 people homeless in the U.S. So,
all right,
we're going to kind of see if we can't make that burden, that life, a little easier with some tips and tricks. Now, obviously, Kevin's not homeless. I'm not homeless. So, inside track, not necessarily. However, we both did quite a bit of research, and turns out we know some people. And we've been around through the years. Pay attention. And guess what? Turns out we're all about finding the right tricks and the right things to, open opportunities to, change your life and do things the more logical, convenient way. So anyway, let's figure that out. So first of all, you're about to, that you're on your last budget and you're not going to be able to make rent at the end of the month, and the landlord's like, 30 days and you're gone, or maybe you don't even get the 30 days, you're already past that, it snuck up on you and you didn't realize things were ending badly. So what are some things you can do? One, you want to find a quality backpack. And I don't mean quality, go buy a big camping, $100 backpack. No, I'm talking about, whatever. Just find something that is going to work for you and be sturdy enough and hold some stuff. And that's important. A good water drinking container would be awesome. People say if you have your kind of last budget, some of the things to check out would be the gym membership, the Planet Fitness. We're going to kind of come back to hygiene being a very important thing. And both for your health and for your opportunities.
Right.
But Planet Fitness in a lot of areas will have that $10 gym membership. Some of the things I looked into had an annual fee. They had a $70 thing that you might have to pay sometimes. I don't know the different opportunities. Y'all are going to have to, check it out. But that's something to look into. And go ahead.
So you want to talk about hygiene for a few minutes? Or you want to come back?
No, I think that's good. I think YMCA is another great opportunity, and they also have opportunities where you can come in and just get a day option and that kind of thing. But yeah, hygiene.
Right.
What are some things, one of the things that I watched some videos and was listening to some guys about the different things you'd want being homeless, and they were saying chapstick, lip balm were a big thing. Just being out and being kind of going all the time outside in the weather really takes a toll on you. Deodorant is a big thing. Because you can kind of mask a lot with that. Triple antibiotic. Having some cream. These are some things you might want to think about early on. And if you're ever looking to help out homeless people, that might be some things you might want to hook up. Also, a lock, like a padlock. combination lock would be a great, thing to have. But anyway, hygiene. Tell me, what do you got?
Yeah. So, I mean, hygiene is a major cause of health problems, too. You know what I mean? It's not just that you smell bad and you look like trash and nobody wants to talk to you. It's not, getting, it spreads disease. It's a good way to get sick if,
Yeah.
If you want to get sick, that's how you might start going about it. But there are also a lot of campgrounds that you could go to. Now that's not really an urban thing, but if you're traveling across the country and you can stop in a campground and get a shower, that's a great thing. They also have a lot of truck stops have pay for showers where you can pay a couple of bucks and get a hot shower. Now, you'd mentioned like Planet Fitness and health clubs and the YMCA. There are a lot of public rec centers that have you can free use them if you go early in the morning, Public restrooms, that's another one. Now, a lot of places expect you to buy something if you go into their store and use the restroom, whatever. And, you can just say, I'm going to get it when I come out. And then just when you come out, just leave.
A lot of, remember the kind of people that are working in a gas station. A lot of them, one, have been in a tough situation and can kind of relate and are happy to, help out a fellow traveler kind of thing. Another thing is but the thing is, they want to feel like you're not going to steal from them. And that's the big thing. I mean, that's where, the gas station people are like, oh, I don't want you hanging around my store when you look like somebody who's going to, be shoplifting and stealing all their stuff. And, they don't want to spend their effort keeping an eye on you. And so if you look like you're ready to participate in society and not out to get them, that's where that hygiene comes in. Like I said, it really kind of opens up opportunities. But if you have a place...
If you look like a dirty homeless person, they're going to treat you like a dirty homeless person.
Exactly. And, I mean, maybe that's not fair, and maybe that's not how we want the world to be, but that's how the world is. Another thing, when you kind of become homeless and are heading out to things, people try and hold on to stuff. You really need to not have anything that's not about function. Honestly, you're going to end up losing it anyway. So don't bother. Your best move is to take anything you feel of value and kind of turn it over to, hey, another family member, a friend. Hey, can I leave this here with you? Can I leave this box of these items that are important to me at your house? And that kind of thing. Because trying to carry around a bunch of stuff is not going to help you. Carrying around stuff that you need day to day, that will help you. Carrying around nostalgia and something like that is not going to be the trick.
Yeah.
And, I'm sorry, I don't want to be the harsh reality guy, but that's definitely something to think about.
Yeah, your grandmother's candlesticks
they're not going to help.
Aren't going to help out.
Having quality shoes, and the better you can get to, the better off you're going to be. Back to you were saying showers. A lot of the beach towns have the outdoor showers. That kind of thing. That's not necessarily wrong. You take advantage of what you got. And then also the kind of cat bath thing, being able to go in, just making a choice to go in and handle stuff.
Right.
One of the things that I've seen is like places in the north, we had Quick Check and like that. Gas stations like that have pretty good public restrooms. Like you said, the truck stops. Truckers, when they fill up with gas, a lot of the time they'll get like free shower tokens, that kind of thing. A lot of times you can hit the guys up for to get their extra tokens, because sometimes they're getting gas more than more often than they're showering or that kind of thing. Right. So that kind of thing might be available. Something to look at. But another thing, you need to kind of check out what's the shelter schedule, what's the the churches and the people who offer food. You need to kind of find out what's available to you, and find out where to be and when to be there, and kind of plan your life around it. Now, let's talk about shelter for a minute.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So what I've found is, based on my research here, is you kind of want to get away from the mainstream normal, like, congestion. You don't want to be like, all right, so you want to hang out in the day where people are and opportunity is, right? But in the evening, you don't want to be right in the middle of it. You kind of want to find the out of the way place. Actually going that little bit of walking, that mile or 2 miles out of town, might be your better trick to find something that's secure. I understand the safety in numbers, but to be honest, it's hard to trust people. And
I wanted to touch on that because everything I read about was they said stay away from other homeless people. It might, like you said, safety in numbers, but the truth is the numbers, in this situation are crazy people. A lot of homeless people are drug addicts. A lot of people have mental health issues. A lot of homeless people have substance abuse issues. They're not like, the cream of the crop, the nicest, kindest, people that you deal with at church. It's not those people.
You might meet that guy, but he's not going to be the norm.
Right. So, ideally, you would have a tent. That's the best bet is having a tent available and being able to use something like that. Now, I know we've talked on this podcast before about stealth camping, about getting an out of the way spot, like in the middle of a public park, but you want to keep a low profile. A lot of people, obviously, you see a lot of homeless people, under overpasses and things like that, to keep the rain off of them. We've talked about, building shelters out in the thing. The main thing is you want to be able to stay dry and warm. And that's the primary use of the shelter, and that's what you want to focus on. Here's some other tips, though. If you're staying away from other homeless people, you can use the library. You know what I mean? Libraries kick out homeless people, but if you don't look like a homeless person, especially if you could go to a college campus and use their library, there's students sleeping in libraries all the time. It's not even a weird thing,
It's the norm.
It's a normal thing. One thing that I read, now I don't know how true this is. One thing I read is that you can go to like garden centers, like 24-hour stores like Walmart and stuff like that, and just find an out-of-the-way place and take a nap. Because the people that work at those places generally don't give a fuck. They don't want to be there either, They're not going to have to deal with... They don't want to have to deal with fist-fighting a homeless guy that's sleeping at their spot. They're just going to walk right past you and ignore you.
A lot of people who are homeless are living in their car. Now, obviously, it gets to a point where you don't have the car anymore, whatever, depending on how your situation is. It's weird. In a lot of more expensive cities, there are people earning decent salaries, $50,000 a year, who end up being homeless, which is kind of insane. But it's not. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's insane that it costs that much to live in a city like that, and that's what I mean. But, so people will be living in their car and that kind of situation. A Walmart parking lot, you're not allowed to stay there overnight. The consensus that I've seen is if you basically show up after 7 p.m. and you leave by 7 a.m., you're good to go. They usually won't give you any grief or any kind of thing like that. It's when you kind of stretch past those boundaries that you kind of get into trouble. The same thing, it's always tough to find a parking area. I know that one time I was doing a 20-hour drive, and I tried to pull into a rest area and kind of sleep in the rest area for 10 minutes or whatever, or an hour, whatever. And a trooper comes over knocking on the door, the window, and he's like, hey, you can't be sleeping here. And he's like, it's not safe because somebody's going to come kill you. And, well, yeah, I mean, it's a rest area, right? But that's...
Yeah, exactly. You should be able to rest there, but nah, not really the case. Also, apparently, I learned that that's like a gay hookup spot is rest areas.
You got to keep your options open. That's what I say.
Yeah. What are you going to do, man? What are you going to do? That's what it is. Another, now, a lot of people that don't have cars still need to deal with transportation.
Right.
Get from place to place. Now, if you have a car, obviously gas isn't free. It's been more and more expensive as over the past few years. It's not doesn't seem like it's really gonna get a whole lot better anytime soon.
Right.
So you need to familiarize yourself with public transportation.
Right.
That's kind of a big one. Whether it's trains or subways or buses. That can be a great option from getting from place to place, especially if you want to be in the city to Panhandle, because that's where you want to do it. But you also want to be out of town, like Chuck was saying, for your living place. So hitchhiking is another great option. And now, when I was studying up on this, I learned a little bit about train hopping. Apparently, that's still a thing.
Right.
It used to be a big deal back in the day, and they would have the conductor going from car
Cracking
to car and
heads,
beating the shit out of hobos,
Yep.
and exactly. Not so much the case anymore. Now they're really trying to chase people off from vandalizing or spray painting train cars. But you can hop on a train. It's also a good way to lose a leg or something, though. You know what I mean? You don't want to fall off of a moving train or fall under a moving train when you're trying to get on and off of it. So you got to be pretty agile and pretty fit to be hopping trains. But there's a whole community out there that's train hopping, traveling around the country. So that's something to think about. How about food?
All right. So food.
You don't have a
Where
job.
Are you going to
you
find
don't have
food?
a place to live. Where are you going to get something to eat?
All right. So we did talk about churches, homeless shelters, that kind of thing. Definitely.
Right. There's a lot of community pantries and like you said, churches have a lot of they'll do like a soup kitchen type once a week. You can figure out where and when those times are, and that's the spot to go.
Now, I did hear, as far as dumpster diving, right? That kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
One, you're not allowed to bring any food or drinks into the U.S. Capitol. So it turns out people have their lunch, and they'll just drop it in the trash on the way in. So the trash outside the Capitol is maybe where you want to be. I'm just saying. Secret of the pros right there.
Nice.
And that's where I get all my snacks. But people in your mind, you're like, oh, I should hang out outside the restaurant and I'm going to find food. I was told that the dumpsters at restaurants is not where you want to be. Turns out that food that you find there, you're kind of scooping up off the bottom of the dumpster, and that's not what you're looking for. When I was in New Orleans, it was very big to hang out outside the restaurants, especially fancier restaurants, and hit people up for their leftovers. And be like, hey, I could take those for you. I know we actually, we were in a hotel, so we went and had, food to go. Hey, can I get 20 chicken wings or whatever it is, right? And we go to pick up our chicken wings, and, 8 homeless people. Can I have your leftovers? And I'm like, this is my dinner? Give me...
This is my actual food.
This is where I'm at. But, so that's a big thing. one of the other things, like, so if you are kind of like, hey, who's throwing out good stuff, where you want to look is convenience stores. They're always kind of cycling through the dates on their food and that kind of stuff. You know, obviously you'll kind of learn who puts out good stuff, who doesn't. I would assume like bakeries or places where they're producing food, you know, right?
That's what I read is a lot of day old bread ends up
that kind of
going
thing.
out in the trash or getting donated someplace, and maybe you could be
There you go.
the donation spot. You know what I mean?
One of the other things they're looking at is like the Hostess trucks and the Frito-Lay guy, that kind of stuff. So they'll come out and make their delivery, and they'll put all the new fresh stuff in, but they're going to take away all the old expired. Now they need to inventory what they take away in the old expired, but once they do, they have stuff they can, you know, maybe possibly give away. And if you approach people in a nice, friendly way and you don't smell bad because you're taking care of your hygiene, you might be able to get the hookup. That's something you may want to think about. So that's an opportunity. I don't know. What else? What do you got, Kevin?
Well, another thing that I did, you were talking about convenience stores and that earlier. One of the things I read is that you should be loading up on any sort of the free ketchups, the free sauce packets, all that sort of stuff.
Calories.
Because old food can not taste as shitty if you've
Hot
got
sauce?
it drowned in
Hot sauce makes
in
it all better,
condiments.
or the salt.
Yeah, that's right. So they said the hot sauce from Taco Bell, best spot. But a lot of the fast food restaurants have stuff just out on the counter available that you can grab.
Now, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it's the beard.
More and more they've been keeping it behind
the counter.
The counter.
Right.
But
Now, I don't know if it's the beard, but I know whenever I go to Taco Bell, the girl always puts about 40 sauce packets in the bag. And I'm like, well, okay, but I mean, I only got like one taco, and so
I can't
they want
do
to
that
hook
much
you up,
hot
you know.
sauce on one taco, but
Water is actually a big thing, and Taco Bell and McDonald's have the courtesy cups, and the water you're able to get, that's maybe a good option. Again, you don't want to wear out your welcome. It's something you want to think about, but being able to get fresh water, finding a spigot or public water fountains, I guess that's not really a thing anymore. Ever since COVID, they really have cracked down on water fountains. They're, centers for disease, right? That's something to think about. But I don't know. You gotta kind of take what you can get, I guess, is kind of what I would say. Be open to opportunities.
Yeah. Now, another thing to think about is with food is cheap stuff you can get. Ramen. That's a staple of homeless people is ramen. Ramen is good in the sense that it has a lot of calories. It'll keep you from starving to death, but it doesn't have like any nutritional value. So you want to be adding as much as you can to that ramen when you get it, And they got those little soups where the styrofoam cup, you just pour the hot water in there and you're ready to party. Another option that I didn't realize, but apparently homeless people know all about this, hunting. Setting up a snare is pretty cheap. If you can, source any of that wire or rope or any of that sort of stuff, you can set up snares pretty good. And rats, a mouse, the average mouse has the same amount of protein as 2 eggs.
No.
Yeah, it's not a whole lot of calories in there, but it's got a lot of protein.
All right.
Yep.
So you're saying
with the mouse, what you want to do, if you're going to cook a mouse or a rat, you just take the whole thing and throw it in the fire.
Okay.
Burn all the hair off. Roast it up good. And then you pull it out, you rip it open, and just scoop the guts out and discard them.
Secret
Then
of the
rest
pros.
of it, skin and all that, everything else is edible. You just got to make sure, especially with a rat and a mouse, you want to make sure it's cooked all the way through because they're full of disease and full of all sorts of
And if you have that
nastiness.
Taco Bell hot sauce,
See right
secret
there.
of the pros.
It's coming in. Yeah.
Another thing, so busking, that kind of thing. Now a lot of places that's kind of illegal and can get you into trouble, but then there's other places where it's not. Sometimes just having a good joke, having a good couple of jokes. It's funny. I came across a guy in New Orleans. Turns out most of my homeless. I spent a fair amount of time in New York City as a younger person, and the homeless people there all kind of wanted to stab you and kill you, and you just kind of, walk to the other side of the street. In New Orleans, you couldn't tell who was homeless from anybody else. Apparently, they live a little bit better there. And one of the guys came up to me, and he's like, "Oh, give me $5 so that way my kid isn't here asking you for $5 next year, And just having your little sharp, little clever thing to say might push you over the edge to, getting your money.
Yeah. Now I've never seen a guy with like a cardboard sign that I've given money
No.
to. It's always like, "We'll work for food, God bless."
People always talk like they
But
make
I
$1 million
did see-
a year doing that. And my experience talking to people, that's not really the case.
Nah, it's more like, if you're really hustling and apparently there's a difference, but if you're a white guy that's homeless, you can make about $80 a day. If you're a black guy that's homeless, it's closer to $40 a day. So there is a little bit of racism when it comes to homelessness. But, I did see a guy with a cardboard sign that said, "I'm not going to lie, I just want a drink." And I did give him money.
Well, you could
So
relate.
Yeah, I get that.
You're like,
I get
that
that.
makes
You want
sense.
to go buy yourself a 40?
Yeah.
I'll donate to that cause.
That's what I heard is people are like, yeah, everybody can kind of see through your lies and don't try and sell, the homeless vet when, no.
Right.
And you're like
He's not a
17
vet.
and no, it's not,
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are homeless vets out there.
Oh, yeah.
Quite a few of them. But most of the people that got to have a sign that says homeless vet is not really a vet.
Yeah.
So when it comes to panhandling,
All right.
there's a couple of things you want to do. You don't want to have face tattoos. Number
That's
one.
a no.
People aren't going to donate to you if you have face tattoos. You're trash. You also want to imply that you're just on hard times, that you're not like a habitual homeless person that's scamming. Now, a lot of people, I've seen a lot of videos of people with cameras following a homeless people back to their nice car because they can make a decent amount of money.
Right.
But if you're really out there, if you're really out there in a high traffic area with a cardboard sign that says "we'll work for food," people don't want to actually give you a job, but at least they feel like you're trying, Nobody's
that right?
like, "All right, well, I'll tell you what, you can come home to my house and mow my lawn and I'll make you lunch."
Isn't that who was the little
if you
blonde
tell a homeless
girl who
person
got
with that
kidnapped? Remember, it ended up like they blamed the dad or whatever, but it was the homeless guy that they brought home to do the yard
Yes,
work.
exactly. Yeah, snatched up
Casey
the daughter.
something, or I don't remember her name. I don't know.
I don't remember. It was a
But-
while back. But he hired a homeless person to do some work at his house, and next thing you know, his daughter's missing.
And so
I mean,
I don't know how much you want to call their bluff on that one, but
yeah, you don't want to do that. But if you have a sign that says that, people think that you actually are trying.
and they're like, "Look, I know you
know?
want to try, but I'm not going to bring you home to kidnap my daughter." So
right,
I'll just give you
$5.
$5, and it'll be easier for both of us.
Yeah, so you want to move around and find the best
One
spot
of my
for panhandling. Some spots are just going to be dead ends.
right. One of the tricks, I know New York City, they actually crack down pretty good on like selling trinkets and your whatever shenanigans.
Right.
So that's maybe not the place. But one of the things I think my kid one was doing it in like Boston or something, but is magic tricks, right? Learn one or two little tricks. It's funny, I bought a a couple of books on that kind of thing, like basically all the
Sleight of
little
hand
sleight of
stuff.
hand and hustles and things like that people are doing. And there's a lot of neat things. You always get the stupid, the guy who comes up to you and is like, well, if I tell you where you bought your shoes, will you give me, $10? And or where you got your shoes. And they're like, you got them on your feet. And you're like, that, I'm not sure that's the way to go. If you're a 500-pound man and you're like, yeah, I'll kill you, or you look like you'll stab them in the eye if they don't give you the $5, that might work.
Right, that might be helpful.
But you know, if you're like the dumb kid, it's probably not going to work for you. So anyway, find something that makes you unique, entertaining, make people laugh, make people happy, and that might be able to give you that little bit of an edge.
Yeah, generally, if you're homeless, you're kind of depressed. You gotta suppress that and actually, come across as cheerful and happy and friendly. Not always easy to do when you're in a bad mood, especially if you're homeless. You're probably in a bad mood all the time. But just pretend, and pretending sometimes will actually help change your mood too.
Right.
Now, one thing you want to think about is if you're homeless, people are watching out that you're going to steal something, shoplifting and shit like that. It's not, it's not easy to do when people are expecting you to steal something. So you never want to steal something that people are selling because they watch out. They watch out for that sort of stuff.
No, you steal the pen behind the counter.
You want to steal things that people aren't trying to get money for. You know what I mean?
To the pro.
Yeah. So just keep that in mind. If you go to a hotel, you can raid those ice machines if you need ice. If you're living in Florida and it's hot as hell, fill a trash bag up with ice and just carry it around on your back, man. It'll cool you down.
There you go.
There's a lot of stuff like that's free for people that are paying. That if you're not paying, you can also kind of access it.
I used to, as far as like restrooms go, I used to do I did the appliance repair, but I'd be out in the van and go to different houses every day. Well, sometimes you need a bathroom, and finding a good bathroom that's clean and decent and whatever can be tricky when you're out on the road. And I'm sure, as the homeless guy, you're thinking that too. Office buildings are the trick. Now, you're thinking, well, in the city, they always have doormen, and they're looking for that kind of thing. Like, they don't want to let you in. Also, hotels have bathrooms and that kind of thing. But again, if you look like the homeless guy just wandering in, they might kind of give you grief. But if you look like you have a purpose and you know where you're going and you go right there, you can kind of go right to that bathroom and whatever. I know I had a few office buildings that, were kind of on my list. Like, oh, this place is always empty and clean and, whatever that I would hit up. I'd be like, oh, right here, I'm going to, driving by. Sometimes if it's the right opportunity, I might drive 4 or 5 miles out of the way just to, hey, there's that good bathroom over there.
The good one. With the nice
toilet
toilet
there.
paper.
I need to sit down. They have the 2-ply, so hey, you do what you have to do, right? We're all trying to get by. That and I would say be honest. Just try and. So there are a few. I do have a list of top cities you might want to check out if you're homeless.
I was going to ask you about this. So you're homeless and you're train hopping. You can go anywhere you want in the country.
Well, as you pointed out
where do you
earlier,
want to be?
You don't want to be in the north. That's really, you don't want to be anywhere near the north. The north just sucks. All right, let's just go with that.
Yeah, you're going to
freeze. The only
to death.
north I'm going to give you maybe on my list is Seattle. And that's just because the population, people won't even be able to tell you're homeless versus somebody else. Same thing. If you're not
a rich
showering,
person looks exactly like a homeless
they won't
person.
even know. So, and Seattle actually has, the city is basically, they're there to accommodate, and it's just easy. They're looking out for their homeless there. Houston and Austin.
Yeah, you want to be in a liberal city.
where they
And most cities are liberal, so that works
There
out.
you go. Houston and Austin are great places, but no, they're Houston was considered number one on the list. But now work with me. These aren't necessarily cities that it's easy to be homeless. These are towns and cities that actually want to help you from being homeless and kind of get you into something. They're actually like top cities because they solve their homeless problem, not because they like cater to homeless. All right. So if you're looking to get a hand up and get helped out, Houston and Austin are places you might want to check out. Salt Lake City, Utah, same thing. I don't know if you have to become a Mormon, but they're down to help you out. They're looking.
All right.
Now, if you just want to be homeless, can I tell you about Berkeley, California? Ooh. Now that's maybe your spot. Mild weather, a lot of not-for-profit and shelters are there to help you, and they're looking out
all
for
the
you.
hippies
Yeah,
out there.
it's going to be a go-to. San Diego, same thing. City has a lot of tents and shelter areas set up. New Orleans, also good for that, for the actively being homeless. I know when I was there, everybody had like $2,000 dogs and shit, all the homeless people. And I'm like, dude,
nice.
I don't even understand. How do you... Well, it's my dog, and I've had him forever, whatever. I'm like, it doesn't even make sense. But, okay. Vegas actually has, like, courtyards set up where they can kind of contain you and keep you all together. But they have showers and porta potties and security set up. So,
nice.
There's different options. But Vegas, it's hard to get to. You're not walking there, right?
Yeah.
You gotta be able
exactly.
to hitchhike or find your way. You gotta have the buddy getting there. Maybe your last plane ticket. I mentioned they have like $59 flights and shit still to Vegas because...
Yeah, it can't be that expensive, right?
Who knows?
To get there. I mean, they
I
want you
haven't
there.
been on a plane in forever, so I don't really know. I have no idea what the hell's happening. But probably need special driver's licenses. I'm told they just actually expanded it to now you don't need the... they were saying by 2023 you had to have the what's the enhanced license?
Oh, the advanced
whatever
ID
it is.
or whatever
With
that is.
Mine, we have a little gold star on it or something, makes it the right thing, that kind of thing. But hey, keep your options open, and I would say try not to be homeless. But if you are, try not to steal shit or steal shit. Don't steal shit that people don't want you to steal. All right, if that makes sense. Be nice. That's the answer. I did just watch a movie last night. Emily the Criminal had the girl from
I don't know.
Parks and Recreation, Aubrey Plaza, right? That girl.
Okay.
She's entertaining. She didn't kind of have that aloof character that she has on the show, but she's just kind of a tough girl in this one. But she was all about working the whole credit card fraud. And
nice.
nice. So there's options available to you, is what I would say. But again,
right.
You don't have deodorant, you don't look like a homeless, or if you look like a homeless person, those options kind of go away. But if you can kind of, just put a little extra effort into hygiene, you might be able to step up your game and, commit credit card fraud.
Yeah, and honestly, if you are homeless, the main thing you want to do is stop being homeless as fast as possible.
That's the trick.
The longer you're homeless, the more you're gonna be perceived as homeless. You know what I mean? That when you look like a homeless person, and I think if you're homeless, at least I've read this. If you're homeless, you don't realize how bad you smell. You don't realize how trashy you look. After a certain amount of time, you stop being aware of how ridiculous looking you are and how scary you can be to middle-aged white
There
men.
you go. So, all right. But, I understand, it's an unusual topic for us and whatever. We just, you need to be able to keep your options open and realize what's going on in the world. And hey,
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
Christmas
you know,
is approaching. Maybe you have a little charity. Maybe you go out and look out for these people.
Yeah.
Maybe you bring some of the supplies people might need. You know?
Yeah, the number one thing that homeless people need is socks and underwear.
Socks, underwear, deodorant.
So,
you're in.
Yeah, if you're thinking about helping out some homeless people, that might
toothbrushes,
be your best
toothpaste.
bet.
I don't think anybody's complaining about that. Turns out you
Right.
can buy packs for pretty cheap. I know here we have a lot for school lunches and that kind of thing are a big thing, trying to help out. That's really what it comes down to. Guys, we're kind of just trying to bring attention to the situation. And, times are really tough right now for people. And, helping people out is always a good thing. Holidays coming up. Think if you can help directly. There's always the government and all these different things. But maybe if you did a little something on your own, you could help out some people. And, $20 to you might not be, a big deal. But to them, it might be a big deal. So, anyway, see what you can do. Look out for each other. You guys enjoyed the show. Make sure you like and subscribe. Maybe leave comments. Let people know, what you're thinking. You can email us with show topics, thoughts, concerns, preppingbadass@gmail.com. We have a website, preppingbadass.com, where we have an email list you can sign up. Also, you might want to check out Prepping Badass group on Facebook. Otherwise, I would say with that, stay safe, and we will talk to you guys next week.
Survival and Basic Badass Podcast is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network.
Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With FishingBooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. FishingBooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to FishingBooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.